Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, students. Today the topic is eccentrically loaded columns. This belongs to the strength of material module 2. Before we start with the eccentrically loaded columns, we need to look at the columns, how they are categorized. While categorizing the columns, we categorize them with, we see them with the different angles. The first can be the materials. With respect to materials, columns can be brick columns, reinforced columns, PCC columns, can be metal columns, steel columns, and then the second can be with respect to cross-sectional shapes. With this view, we can categorize them rectangular columns, square columns, rectangular, triangular columns, or anything of the shape. Any shape you follow, you can name it. Then we can categorize columns with respect to their end conditions. With respect to end conditions, we can call them pin-ended columns, fixed-ended columns, and combination of these. They can be columns with one end free, other pinned, or other end as the fixed end. Then most important is that we categorize columns as short columns and long columns. This is most oftenly categorized columns. See, if the longitudinal direction or the unspotted length has a certain ratio with the least dimension of the cross sections, then if it is say less than 40, we call it a short column, and if exceeds, there is some limit, if it exceeds that limit, it is categorized as the long column. Then this is short oblique long columns. Then with respect to today's lecture, the categorization of columns is with respect to their locations. Now, this categorization is very seldom used, but in today's lecture it is very important. That is categorization with respect to location of columns. And to understand this, I have drawn a diagram over here, which is a 9-bay roof. It is based on the 3x3 grid, and over here, if you see, I have used 3 different colors to categorize different categories of the columns with respect to their location in the structure. There are 4 green columns, and they have a common thing that they are being loaded from all the 4 sides. So we categorize these columns as the green one are interior columns. Then the second category is marked with indigo color, and this is edge columns, and this is being if you see, this is being loaded from only 2 quarters, and 2 of the quarters are empty or discontinuous. And the 4th category over here is the red category, and if you see their location, by virtue of their location, they are called corner columns. Now, the category with respect to location in the building is important for our today's lecture. And we will deliberate how they are loaded and how do we find stresses in these columns. Taking up one by one, say we take interior columns in the first step. In case of interior column, you would appreciate that column is loaded most likely centrically and not eccentrically, which is today's topic. Now see, I will give a blow up of interior column, which is marked green over here, and these are interior columns. Let's find out stresses in interior columns. Now, in case of interior columns, it is most likely that all the contributing quadrants of the column are asteroided, and most likely is that column is being loaded centrically. That is, if this is the column cross section, and by the way, we have taken all the columns, square columns over here, so that their moment of inertia about both the axes along the x-axis and y-axis are same. Say if this is the x-axis and this is y-axis, over here the location of the load is in the center, and if we draw a side elevation of this column, this means if this is central axis of the column, the load is right at the central axis. Say if this is load P over here. Now to find out the stress over here, this stress is direct stress, and it is by the basic definition that stress is load over area, and that suffices the compressive stress in the interior column over here. Now we take on the other category, say, which relates to this topic. The second category is that of the edge column, and before I start with the edge column, you need to concentrate on the edge column, that how it is loaded. Now the edge column has two quadrants empty and two quadrants are loading this column. So it is quite likely that this will not be centrically loaded, rather this will be eccentrically loaded column. Now how do we find the stresses in eccentrically loaded columns? Say if this is, let's use any other color other than the indigo, although in the main diagram they are given the indigo color, but let's use blue. So if this is cross section or blow up of the edge column, that is this one, blow up of the edge column, and if this is say x-axis and this is y-axis, now load is not being transferred to this column at the center, rather it is eccentric. Say load is somewhere over here, but this eccentricity is only with respect to the y-axis, and on the x-axis it is right on the x-axis. Say this is the eccentricity over here. Since this eccentricity is along the x-axis but away from the y-axis, so we use the symbol of eccentricity as E and mark it with subscript y over here. Now load P is acting at this place. If we have the side elevation of this column, say this is the side elevation of this column, and if these are the central axes of this column, then P is acting somewhere over here with eccentricity as EY. The subscript y denotes that it is away from the y but along the x-axis. Now you would appreciate that when a force is acting at a distance, then the product of the force and the momentum or that distance makes the moment over here. So this moment with eccentricity is, say this moment is about the y-axis. So it is my is equal to P into EY. And in order to find out the stress, which is the today's lecture, and mind you, this is with uniaxial eccentricity. So we can prefix uniaxial word, uniaxially eccentrically loaded columns. So this is the moment, and to find out the stress over here is, say, using this sigma for stress as a stress symbol, it will have two parts, that is the total load divided by the cross sectional area, this one multiplied by this one, these two dimensions. So P over A shall be the first component of our equation. The second component of equation shall be plus minus my into y divided by I, where this capital Y is the distance from the center to the fiber where we want to find out the stress, and I is the second moment of inertia, and in case of a square column it is same about both the axes, that is mxx and ixx and iyy both are same, because it is. Now over here the most important is how to choose one of the sign over here, because I have marked both the signs over here, and while choosing these signs we have to see the location of the load, that where is the load existing. Now if we are in this quadrant, in this half, not quadrant, then you would appreciate this is this side of the column, and you would appreciate that the load over here is trying to cause a compression in this half and tension in the second half and are in the further half. Alright. Over here if you see that load is acting over here at this point, and this load is trying to bend whole of the column over here in a compressive manner and causing a tension in this one. So when P over A is a compression which is using the positive sign, so for this half we will use plus sign, and for the empty half we will use negative sign over here. So that is how we will find out the stress in a column which is uniaxially eccentrically loaded column. Now we move on to the last part of our lecture, in which the column is not uniaxially loaded, rather it is biaxially eccentrically loaded column. And for that we take the example of the corner column, which has been apportioned the color red color over here, making the blow up of this column. Say this is the corner column, and this column is being loaded by only one quadrant. The contributing area is only on the one quadrant, rest of the three quadrants are empty. So hence it is quite likely that load shall be away from the center in such manner that it is near some corner. Say it is acting over here, and this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So in this case you would see that eccentricity of the load is about both the axes. It has eccentricity over here which is along the y-axis but away from the x-axis, that is E y over here, and it has also an eccentricity along the x-axis over here and away from the y-axis. So now this load is adding or subtracting from the direct stress, the way it is eccentrically located from both the axes. And in order to make you understand, I will take all the four quadrants and make you understand one by one that how it is loaded negatively or positively. See, if this load is P, and let's not make the cross-sectional side elevation because it will not show till the time it is not 3D. So if you see over here, the stress formula over here shall be, the first part will remain same, that is load over area. Then the second part will be plus minus, say mx into y divided by I, and plus minus my into y divided by I. Now the direct stress component of this equation is being added or being subtracted from, as keeping in view the eccentricity over here, because the eccentricity over here is not only from one axis, whereas it is from both the axes, that is x-axis and y-axis. And you see, if we want to calculate, say mx, then what is mx? That is moment about the x-axis. Now moment about the x-axis is this one, that this load multiplied with the moment arm over here, which is away from the x-axis, shall give us the mx over here. So if this is mx is P into the eccentricity is E subscript y, and in case of my, the value of my, that is about the moment about the y-axis. This is y-axis, this is x-axis. So moment about the y-axis, alright. This moment is caused by the eccentricity Ex. So it will be product of the P and eccentricity from the y-axis, that is P into E subscript x. That is how we calculate these terms involved in this equation. Now, how to choose these signs is extremely important. Say, we take all the quadrants one by one. Say if this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is 3, this is 4. And let's take the first quadrant as sigma subscript say 1. The first term will remain unchanged for all the 4 quadrants, that is P over A. The second term, the sign for second term, you see, in case of mx over here, that is the moment being caused about the x-axis, this is experiencing the compression. So the sign chosen over here shall be the positive sign, that is plus mx y over I. And in case of y axis, if we consider this moment which is trying to bend the column above the y axis, the moment over here is again trying to compress this half. So both the signs chosen over here shall be my over I. For second quadrant, it is all related to common sense. The first term shall remain same. Now you see, for mx, that is the moment being caused about the x-axis, again this half is experiencing compression. So the sign over here chosen shall be positive because it has the same sign as that of the PA. So it will be plus mx into y over I. Now for the second eccentricity, that is about the y-axis, if you see this eccentricity Ex and the moment being bending this cross section about the y-axis, it is trying to cause tension in this half. So the sign chosen over here has to be negative. Taking the third quadrant, which is the right upper quadrant, over here first term remains same, but let's see what is being experienced over there due to bending about x-axis. Over here it has to be tension. So the second term over here shall be minus divided by I. And let's see the second moment, but it is trying to do the bending about the y-axis. Again it is in the other half and causing tension over here. So both the signs over here chosen shall be negative signs. Now moving on to the last quadrant, which is the fourth quadrant. Sigma subscript 4 The first term remains same, that is for compression, it is direct stress for compression, that is P over A, and while considering mx, that is moment about the x-axis, it is trying to lift quadrant 4. So the sign chosen for second term shall be negative over here. Whereas considering the second eccentricity, that is eccentricity from the y axis, the moment caused due to this eccentricity is in the left half, is in the half of the load applied, so it will be positive in sign. So it is positive and my into y divided by I. So that is how we take care of different signs in case of biaxial, because this was eccentricity was from both the axes, that is x-axis and y-axis. So in case of a load which has dual eccentricity, that is eccentricity from both the axes, that is x-axis and y-axis, and causing moment about both the axes, over there the stress formula will have the three terms like this, and first term will have the same sign in all the four cases, in all the four quadrants, because it is causing direct compression, and in case of the second two terms we will choose the signs the way I have explained you, that in which half of the cross section load is acting with the eccentricity. So this is uniaxially eccentricity and biaxially eccentricity, that how we calculate the stresses in the columns when they are eccentrically loaded. Thank you very much.